time for movies on Rock and Gold Radio. It's Meet Me in the Foyer with Linda Marric and Jawa.
Meet Me in the Foyer.
Yes, it's that time when you don't have to go far to meet me in the foyer for film reviews, chat and news. So good, they become an obsession, or at least your new normal. Thankfully, you don't have to put up with my tortured wordplay and puns all show, as once again we're graced by the presence of our very own hostage critic, kidnapped and captive, forced to review for your education and entertainment. It's the one and only Linda Marric. How are you doing, Linda?
Hello, I'm very well. How are you? Do you have a good week?
Yes. Well, I just got absolutely drenched twice on the ride home.
It's insane. It's insane. What the hell is this weather? I've never seen anything like it. I actually went out in a coat today because I was that cold.
Oh, it was lovely this morning, and then I got there was hail out there. I don't know what's going on. Like you say. Madness. Thankfully, we're all safe in the shelter of the foyer, back for another week of reviews. And what might those reviews be, Linda?
Today, I will be reviewing this week, I will be reviewing the new Ben Wheatley movie called Normal, a terrifying horror film, but very good as well as terrifying. Obsession. And I will also be reviewing an Ian McKellen vehicle called The Christophers, which I won't say anymore. But, yeah.
Lovely. Well, I mean, that's a very exciting lineup. Looking forward to all of those. I will, of course, underwhelm with my own classic movie review and some news and the box office top 10. So that seems like an appropriate place to start. So let's do that.
Meet Me in the Foyer.
So it's the box office top 10 as it stands, as we record. And at 10, still clinging on by its roots, it's the Magic Faraway Tree that's been in the top 10 for 7 weeks. And it's made just under £15 million at the UK box office, which is fabulous.
Very good. Impressive stuff for a film that's just, it's not about superheroes, it's not about people shooting at each other. I really love that. It's as whimsical as they come, and it still manages to sort of, make money. So it's good.
Absolutely. A whim's away indeed. Above that, not a film. There's always one or two in the top 10 these days. It's Iron Maiden, Burning Ambition. I'm sure Linda's seen this multiple times already this week.
I haven't seen it. I was invited to a screening, but I chose to not bother. It's not really my thing, and I know really I am supposed to sort of watch things even if I'm not really into it. But having watched the Billie Eilish movie, and that movie was right next to it, like in my schedule, I was just, I just wanted to go home and enjoy my memories of the Billie Eilish movie.
I think that's fair enough. I don't think I could be persuaded to see it either, but so less said, the best, I suppose. Above that at number 8, it's Hokum. That's on its second week on release. That's made a 1.3 million at the UK box office, and you can catch Linda's review on a previous show.
Wonderful kind of folk horror, also almost comedy. It's a very small movie, but very, very, very clever, and one of the best horror movies of the year, I must say.
And Andrew Scott gave a nice little speech at the BAFTA TV Awards this week, which was very moving. Adam Scott, sorry, yes, in a very fetching bright red suit. But yeah, that was good. Above that, at number 7, it's Project Hail Mary. It's been in the top 10 now for 2 solid months, and it's made £34 million at the UK box office alone.
Brilliant. Really good. I think I've said everything I need to say about Project Hail Mary, but it's so it just makes me feel so happy to see that people are still going to see it. And I saw that it's not just about the movie. I think the death of cinemas has been greatly exaggerated because more and more people are going to see films in the cinema, actually go because it's important, and because it's, that nothing beats watching a movie with loads of other people and getting that kind of like euphoria from enjoying the laughs and the sadness. And you cannot ever convince me that watching films at home is more fulfilling than watching them in the cinema.
It does feel like cinema's creeping back, doesn't it? Not that it ever went away properly, but it really feels like it's back. And above that, another film that's made a staggering amount of money at the box office worldwide and in the UK. It's the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which has been out for 6 weeks and has made £37 million at the UK box office alone. So yes, people are watching films in cinemas, that's for sure.
Well, kids are, and why not? I think it's a little bit rich from very sort of serious critics to dish out 0 stars and 1 star for films like that when they're not really aimed at you. So if you don't get it, it's not for you. I mean, generally a film like that, there's a reason why people are thinking they get to go and watch it, because these are really popular games, and the Switch is really popular with the young kids, and they want to go and see it. And actually, it's quite a funny movie. It's very young, but it's quite funny.
Yeah, and but purely by coincidence, I happened to watch the original 1993 Super Mario movie again this week, and there's no way that this movie is as bad as that.
Not possible.
Oh god, it's absolutely abysmal. But above that, it's a film reviewed by Linda on last week's show, if I remember correctly. It's Mortal Kombat 2 on its first week of release. It's made £1.5 million.
Yeah. It could have been a lot worse. So I think it could have been a lot worse. And I think the cast, they got the casting just right. So it really made it work better than I thought it was going to. Yeah, it's all right. It's not my thing, but it's all right. It is what it is.
Above that, something I think was a bit more Linda's speed. It's Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, the tour 3D concerts, which again you can catch her review on last week's show, which has made just a little bit more.
Really love that. What number is it at?
That is at number 4.
Okay, it's doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. Above that, at number 3, is The Sheep Detectives. That's on its first week of full release. It's made 3.3 at the box office, and you can catch Linda's review of that on the show previous to last week's.
It took me completely by surprise. I was really not expecting anything from it, and then it just turned out to be having this kind of really important existential message in it. And I dare anyone not to cry, at the end of it. It's just a lovely little movie, really. It's one of those hybrids, like AI, CGI plus live action, and if you don't get those kind of things right, they can look really awful. But this, I thought because the screenplay is really strong, and because it knows it actually doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's got a really lovely message, then it works. It worked for me. Yeah, it's lovely. I'm not surprised people are going to see it.
Well, I went to see it last Bank Holiday Monday with my partner, and I didn't like it.
Oh no!
I mean, I will admit, slightly countering what you said before about that shared experience, it was slightly ruined for me by a family arriving about half an hour in, sitting in the front row, and then just sitting on their phones the entire time, taking photos, just generally ruining the experience. But
I loved it. That's wonderful.
I didn't think it was that funny, and I don't know what accent Hugh Jackman's doing, and I'm not entirely sure about the acting of He-Man in it. But it's probably not for me. So
I really liked it, but hey,
and that's perfectly fine. At number 2 still. I thought this might have risen back up to number 1. It's Michael and its 4th week on release. That's made £33.5 million at the UK box office and £431 million worldwide. So still raking it in.
Not the number that I've got.
That I have converted that to pounds rather than dollars.
Okay.
Yeah. I think in dollars that's 500 and something odd.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely coining it in. Which means at number 1, that's made even more on its second week on release than on its first, The film that you can catch a review of on a previous show by Linda, it's The Devil Wears Prada 2 on its second week of release. That's now made £21 million in just 2 weeks.
It is what it is. It's nostalgia a go-go, and it's if you know, if you didn't like the first one, you ain't gonna like the second one. So, you know. I liked the first one, and it was really lovely to see all those characters back together. And I thought it was really good. Emily Blunt steals every scene she's in. She's just incredible and so funny and so deadpan and just like a mean girl kind of way, but so really likable. I really loved her. What else can I say?
No, I think that's it. Yeah, wonderful. So that's the box office top 10 for this week. All of which means it must be time for a review, our first of the week, and we've got a few to pack in. So why don't we get a crack in?
Meet me in the foyer.
Ben Wheatley's back, and with a film starring the brilliant Bob Odenkirk that, from the promotion, looks a lot like Nobody and has a similar title in Normal. However, knowing Wheatley, whose filmography is varied and challenging, I expect this to be nothing like Nobody and far from normal. But to find out the truth, let's pass the mic over to Linda to discover if this film sets the standard for the new normal.
Welcome to Normal, Minnesota. A charming, unassuming town where time moves slow and a friendly face is always just around the corner.
Your eyes, that mouth.
You'll never be far from our local mayor, dedicated deputy sheriff, a friendly mailman, cheerful store owners, cozy eateries. Oh, and our town moose.
Hey! Like the way you law, man.
Life in Normal is quiet, peaceful, predictable. Until it isn't.
Why are they shooting at you?
I'm at a loss.
Jesus.
That's not where I was aiming.
Welcome to Normal.
It flows through my veins.
Linda?
I'm going to start by saying that I'm a really big fan of Ben Wheatley, and I'm a fan of his earlier stuff before Hollywood got hold of him and he became, you know, a jobbing director, as it were, you know, and he really is a jobbing director now. And he still does have time to make his own movies and write his own scripts and work with the same group of people he's always worked with. And I think he's at his best when he's doing those things. In this particular film, so it's he's directing, but the film is also co-written by Bob Odenkirk, and I cannot remember who else, but yeah, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that there is a lot of Wheatley in it, but it is primarily a Bob Odenkirk movie. And if you like the movies like Nobody, and where Odenkirk stars as this kind of unlikely hero, unlikely action man, then you know exactly what you're getting. I wasn't too sure about this. I was really, 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 really looking forward to it. And I thought if it's anything like Nobody, and I really love Nobody, I wasn't so keen on Nobody 2 because I felt like the element of surprise had been sort of, you know, is spoiled for me. Once you've done that kind of revealing someone as this unlikely hero, unlikely action person, you cannot do it twice.
Yeah.
But you know, you know what you're getting with it. It's kind of like a like hybrid between Nobody and Fargo, and
Okay.
there are also some like. Do you ever watch the movie Free Fire, the Ben Wheatley movie?
Yes, I did. Yes.
I really loved Free Fire, and I know so many people absolutely hated it. I know some people just didn't get it at all. I really loved it, and I loved the comedy in it. I'm a big Wheatley fan. That's the thing. I get his comedy. He's a proper working class filmmaker who really, you know, knows how to write those kind of one-liners, and like he's a guy that makes movies for guys, really, but I also really like them, and I really like his the action, and he's made some more profound stuff like God, uh, what's it called? Kill List. He's made A Field in England. He's made, I mean, the list is endless, really. He's made some really good movies that ask some like pertinent questions. He made a film during COVID that had that kind of like theme going through it, and In the Earth, I think that was called. And I've always loved his movies, even his kind of like not so good movies that always have something to say. I wasn't hugely keen on this. However, I thought, it wasn't terrible. As I say, even his worst movies are still managed to be good movies. So the setup is sort of premise is quite interesting. Bob Odenkirk plays a washed up interim sheriff who he arrives in this kind of suspiciously wholesome town in Minnesota called Normal, and he can't quite work out why there's something really strange about it. There are things happening in Normal, Minnesota that shouldn't really happen in a town that small, and in a town that should really be broke like the majority of small towns in America. However, he soon discovers that the Yakuza in the Japanese, or yeah, Japanese mafia basically, has basically been working, uh, has decided to use Normal to hide all of that ill-gotten wealth, and the whole town is in on it. That is I mean, it's probably better that you don't know this, but it's revealed quite quickly, like from the first scene of the film, the first sequences of the film is set in Japan, and there's, these two Yakuza henchmen are sent to Normal, Minnesota, and that that is the setup, really. So there's lots of snow, and there's a lot of people, small town talk, and a little bit of deadpan comedy, very Fargo. If you've seen Fargo, you've seen this. I just loved all of that about it. I loved all of that kind of like interaction with people. There are some really fabulous performances. Billy McClellan, who was also in Normal, plays this kind of like a deputy sheriff who is eager to please, but who is just a bit of a sado. All in all, I thought the performances were really good, and Lena Headey plays a barmaid who kind of builds up a friendship with Bob Odenkirk's character. But I felt like the film almost ran out of steam within an hour, and that is a big problem. So I was actually, because it's 90 minutes long, and I was by 1 hour, it felt like they had already just kind of finished the whole story, and then they had to add another half hour on top to make a different ending. It just felt not quite right, pacing wise. I think there are better movies to be made with this screenplay. I just don't think the screenplay was given enough time to be developed, and that is the problem. Odenkirk is brilliant as ever. The action is very much, as I say, reminded me of Free Fire. It's just like throwing everything at everything, shooting all guns. There's even there's bazookas, there's dynamite being used. But like, it's funny in that way. However, I just think there's only so much you can do when you're just doing that, when you're just like, oh, who can, the most ludicrous ways of killing someone. And some of it is funny, but other than that, I just think it felt like it's a film that isn't saying too much to me. I felt like Free Fire had a lot to say, and I thought it was one of the funniest movies of all time. There's a lot of dark humor. I just wanted it to be a bit weightier. I didn't feel like the comedy was there. I felt
Mm.
like a lot of the lines could have been so much more funny. I feel like sometimes when you're working with a screenwriter who you are also directing, it becomes really hard to tell them to sort of do things differently. And I think there's a lot of admiration between the two of them. And I think Odenkirk really respects Wheatley, and Wheatley really respects Bob. And I felt like they could have really sort of made this a bit better by having another pair of eyes on the script. I was disappointed, I didn't love it. And I was at a screening but they were both there. There was Q&A afterwards, and it felt so like usually when you know that the makers are present, you laugh more. I felt like there wasn't enough laughter,
Mm.
I was disappointed, put it this way, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, it is a 2.5 star movie. I gave it three, but it's 2.5 star movie. I just wish it had worked better. It didn't really work for me,
Fair
unfortunately.
enough.
And
Oh,
I
that's
hate to say that because I am a big Ben Wheatley fan, like a huge fan of his.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, he's a very he's a director very worthy of praise, isn't he? Because he's so inventive and creative and talented. I don't love all of his films. I thought Field in England was incredible.
love
Um,
that movie. Love that.
but a High Rise I
Oh,
absolutely
I
detested.
loved
I
High
I,
Rise.
I couldn't bear High Rise at all.
Yeah.
And it's funny, your review of this film for me could have been a review of Free Fire, which
Oh, really? You
I
didn't?
I I liked it, but I didn't. It didn't amaze me. It felt like it felt to me like Free Fire had no weight to it at all. It was about nothing whatsoever. But it was fine.
I
Um,
liked Free Fire because it was emulating those kind of like 70s movies,
yeah,
with like shoot 'em ups in the 70s, but it had this kind of like really, really funny kind of streak to it that I just thought the dialogue was absolutely hilarious in Free Fire. I did not feel like there was much of a dialogue here
mm,
that could and I say comparing it to Fargo, I guess it has the same kind of like deadpan deadpan comedy and deadpan exchanges, but at the same time it's nowhere near as good as Fargo, and
yeah.
having putting them together is even like an insult, but at the same time, and I can appreciate what they were trying to do. I don't think they succeeded. And I'm very sad to hear you didn't like Free Fire or High Rise. High Rise is a great movie.
I just I say I would watch Free Fire again. I just didn't think it was great. High Rise, I have a real problem. The minute whiff pretension, I can't. And I found High Rise so pretentious.
Yeah.
I all the
Well, it's an
performances were
adaptation,
very
It's
yeah. It's just
it
something.
had to have at least somewhat of a yeah. I think if you don't like the book, you're not
Yeah,
going to enjoy the movie. And I don't think it's pretension. I think it's like a very interesting concept. But fair enough. I mean, it's
perhaps,
your
but
opinion. I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
really,
Perhaps
well,
knowingly arch is a better description.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I mean, I don't know what's maybe Ben's had his day because I mean, you look at the last few films. I mean, why he directed Meg 2, I don't know.
Well, as I say, he's a jobbing Hollywood director now.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why he
just a weird
directed
one.
the Meg too. So it's when someone needs a respectable, respected director
Mm.
for a big movie, a movie with that's likely to make money, and that's what it is. I mean, you could say the same thing about Rebecca. He did. Why would you remake Rebecca?
Well, that's exactly
You
where I was
know?
going. Yeah, why would you do that? Yeah,
Yeah.
very strange, very strange.
So
But
And that didn't really work for many people. I think Rebecca for me looked good because Laurie Rose, who is the cinematographer, is someone who I know personally and who I think he is the absolute best cinematographer the UK has ever produced. I think he's just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. He doesn't really work with Ben Wheatley anymore, but he did work with him throughout all his first movies, the first like 10 of his movies, but he hasn't worked with him for a while. And I genuinely think he's missing because of that. He's really lost his way. He really needs someone like Laurie Rose to sort of focus him more on making the movie look good, you know?
yeah. And it's funny, you mentioned Fargo. As you were talking about the film, it was reminding me of A Simple Plan, which
Mm.
is basically an imitation Fargo anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, interesting. Well, brilliant. Yeah, so sounds like a sort of 50-50 that one, maybe give it a try. You might enjoy
It's
it.
not great. It's not great. People might disagree with me.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was great.
Well,
You
yeah, absolutely. Go to the box office and make up your own mind this weekend.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Linda.
Meet me in the foyer.
Right, so let's have a bit of movie news now. And in the movie news, Charlize Theron and Baltasar Kormaker have just worked together on the Netflix film Apex, which I happened to watch this weekend, and are set to reunite on an adaptation of Stan Parrish's unpublished novel Six Clean Kills for Universal Studios, with Kormaker directing and Theron producing and starring, but with Theron currently filming Tyrant with Julia Garner and Demi Moore, and Kormaker working on The Big Fix with Mark Wahlberg and Riz Ahmed. It looks like we'll have to wait a while for Six Clean Kills to wash its face.
Mark Wahlberg is in a film with Riz Ahmed. Oh,
Yes, apparently so.
right.
Yeah,
How
I
does that even work?
I had to
How
double
does
check
that
that one.
work?
But I did enjoy Apex, so I'll look forward to that one, I have to say. Um, After the unexpected but realistically inevitable Oasis reunion last summer, it's been announced that Stephen Knight is bringing a documentary of the tour to cinemas this September, after which it will head to Disney Plus. So get your bucket hats back out and prepare to throw more of your cash in the cigarette and alcohol kitty for the Gallagher brothers. Let's have it.
Yeah, no, Blur forever. I don't care. You
Absolutely, yeah.
know.
I'm sure I'll watch it, but
I have to admit their songs are very catchy, and I know that first and second album like by heart. I know
mm,
all the lyrics by heart because they are very catchy and they're very easily written.
yeah,
They don't have much depth, you know,
no.
unlike Blur, who, you know.
I think that's why they have that mass appeal, isn't it? It's like, oh, I know this one.
Yeah.
I know this one too. Oh, and I know this one. It's just like all the others. Yeah. Um, but as I say, I'm sure I'll be watching it. Um, Having previously adapted Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park: The Lost World for the big screen, David Coep is returning to the world to create a new Westworld movie.
Oh,
The
cool.
Absolutely, yeah. The 1973 film was written and directed by Crichton before being made into an award-winning HBO series. And with Steven Spielberg recently talking of his desire to make a Western, could this be the project that makes that dream a reality for the pair, who are this summer bringing us the blockbuster Disclosure Day?
Oh my God, I literally cannot wait. Like I'm just so excited. It's the people are excited about all sorts of like Marvel stuff this summer. No, Disclosure Day is my movie.
Absolutely,
I'm
absolutely.
just so excited. You have no idea. Like,
Do you happen to know when they're going to start press screening for that? Because it's not too
oh,
long to
it
wait
will
anymore.
be either the week before or just on the week. So see
Right,
how all depends how lucky we are.
absolutely.
It's very close as well. It's a few couple of weeks, 3 weeks,
Yeah,
3, 4 weeks. So
not too
yeah,
many sleeps now, Linda.
I know. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
But yeah, Spielberg Westworld, written by David Coep, would be amazing. So yeah, fingers crossed for that one as well. Um, Last week we discussed the disappointing box office take for Nia DaCosta's 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, which had created some doubt about the third installment in the series, despite Sony confirming it over a year and a half ago. However, a recent Instagram post from star of the film's Alfie Williams has caused a stir, as he has shared a picture of himself training with his bow and arrow with the caption, "It's great to be back."
Yeah.
Now maybe he just loves a bit of archery, or maybe he's targeting an Olympic tilt. But could he be back in preparation for 28 years later, part three? We'll have to wait and see.
It's definitely happening. I'll tell you why it's definitely happening. Because at the end of the second movie, this isn't a spoiler because the movie's been out for more than 6 months. If
Yeah.
you've not seen it by now, don't blame me. At the very last, at the ending, the very last sequence of the second movie, you see the character, the Cillian Murphy character. I'm not going to tell you what you see. You see the Cillian Murphy character and his now sort of teenage child, and you know that there is a story, and that movie is a direct sequel of 28 Days Later. So that needs to happen,
Yeah.
and people are really looking forward to that. And I don't think there's any doubt about that movie happening because that is going to be the movie. And I think Danny Boyle will be directing that one, I
I
believe.
believe so, yes.
And, so I have absolutely no doubt that that's going to happen.
Wonderful. And lastly, this week, time to dust off the little grey cells, or perhaps more appropriately, the little snowy cells, as there is news of a potential return for Belgium's other super sleuth detective, not Poirot, but Tintin. It's been a barely believable 15 years since Steven Spielberg and Peter Jackson co-produced The Secret of the Unicorn, which was a critical and commercial hit, although in my opinion, a little bit patchy. News is that Jackson is working on a sequel that has been subtitled Prisoners of the Sun. If this comes to fruition, it'll be Jackson's first narrative film since 2015's The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies. And if the original deal stands, Jackson will direct, as he agreed with Spielberg that they would take turns passing the Tintin baton between them. So get your magnifying glasses out and watch this space. Yeah, I did enjoy the first Tintin, but it was a little bit long, I thought, and started well and dragged on a bit. But no, yeah, I'd watch the sequel definitely.
Well, I grew up on the Tintin mags, so it's a story that's very close to my heart, so they better not mess it up.
I still love the cartoons. I still really enjoy those. They're great. But yeah, that's all the movie news for this week.
Meet me in the foyer.
Right, time for another review, and Linda's taking us for a curry Barker to be precise, and his second film, Obsession, seemingly a film set in the familiar genre of the supernatural horror and its classic myths and folk tales. Let's find out if this is a forgettable entry into the overflowing horror genre or one that might end up becoming a bit of an obsession.
What's up?
I was calling to see if there's a way I can alter a wish.
Like to cancel your wish?
No. It's okay to keep the... I just want to know if I can, alter it a little.
I'm sorry, we don't really do that.
No?
If you have any questions about how the wish works, or if you read the back of the box...
Is it even real?
Yeah, it's real.
No, I know that Is her love real?
Just because you chose this for her doesn't make it less real.
I really like this era of horror movies, and I think the past is also full of those movies. I'm liking this era of horror where a movie is never about what the premise really is. It's kind of charged. It's sort of full of messages. I like that we are now making movies that actually stand for something, and that obviously they're terrifying and they're really well made, and they manage to really do something with the horror genre. But I also I've always really liked it when, like, Romero, for example, all of his zombie movies were like a critique of the way we lived our lives nowadays. It was like a sort of a kind of like existential mirror to the world, just to sort of tell us what we're doing, like the comparing zombies to human beings going through life, not realizing what they're doing, going shopping in hordes. And I love when a horror movie is full of those kind of motifs, full of those kind of themes. And I felt that I feel like Obsession is kind of within that family of horror movies that have a lot to say about the way we are as human beings, the way we interact with each other uh, as men and women, and as how the dating sort of culture nowadays is so far removed from the way people used to be, in the 40s and 50s and 30s. So
Mm.
I like it because he's saying something important, and but he's also managed to make a really, really good horror movie, really clever, very, very bloody, and very absolutely terrifying without it being doing too much to be terrifying. So yeah, again, it's directed by Carrie Barker, and it's kind of the premise is basically this of kind of like a um, wish fulfillment premise. We've seen loads of those kind of films
Mm.
in the past. Like it's a trope that's been part of the film business for a very long time. But he really manages to make it extra current because it deals with sort of consent, misogyny, the way, as I say, young people interact with each other. So at its center is Bear, who's played by Michael Johnson. He's a kind of socially clumsy, really nice guy, like the typical nice guy, a socially clumsy music shop worker who can't bring himself to confess his feelings towards Nikki, who is played by Inde Navarette. She is incredible in this movie. Like A Star is Born. I think if you haven't seen her in anything else, you're gonna remember her forever. And I think she's got a huge career ahead of her. Genuinely, I don't remember having seen her in anything before, but she's a revelation in this. So she's his childhood friend and colleague. She's kind of like really nonchalant. She's not interested in sort of being with him or anything. She just wants to be. He's completely friend zoned by her. Uh, Rather than risk rejection by sort of coming out and telling her that he loves her, he kind of takes the coward's route, and he goes into this kind of magic shop, and he buys this kind of like a match thing, like a box that where what you're supposed to do is like you snap a novelty a trinket called One Wish Willow, and you have to wish for one wish, and supposedly your wish comes true. And what he wishes for is that Nikki loves him more than anyone else in the world. And lo and behold, that thing happens, and she becomes absolutely obsessed with him to the point where he can't leave without her. He can't. She decides to move in with him to his house. Having before that said, she wants to be left alone. She just wants to be friends with him. She's not she's not interested in a relationship with him. She loves her friends and she loves the friendship they've had since college, but since high school. But she's really just wants to be his friend. But because of the wish, her whole personality switches. And she becomes a different person. She's been completely possessed by this, whatever this is. She is genuinely extraordinary in this, and like throughout the film, you start to see that her personality has completely changed, and she becomes this like a shell of what she used to be. She lives and breathes just to please him, and he's completely freaked out by it. She watches him sleep. She's jealous. She doesn't like. He becomes her whole life. As much as he's not, at the beginning, he's quite happy that she wants to be with him, and he's having this kind of like a romantic kind of relationship with her, and it's his dream come true. But slowly he starts to realize it's not really her, because the real Nikki is still somewhere in that body, but she can't come out because the spell won't let her. This is so well done. It's so brilliantly portrayed by both of them. Actually, both actors are really absolutely brilliant in here. It's a film that deals with the sort of the thorny issue of consent. You know, if you have wished for someone to be with you and you've gone, you know, you've done this. But for example, you know, if you have drugged someone to make them looser and sort of want to be with you in that way, are they consenting? Or are they, you know, under your spell, at the spell of something else? So it's kind of like, it really broaches some like quite pertinent ideas and themes, you know, like the wish fulfillment thing, the obsession thing, the kind of like the spell thing could be a sort of stand-in for date rape, you know, and it's quite very strong ideas, and he manages to do all of this in a really good way, and the ending is kind of perfect. It's horrific. There are some really horrible violent scenes in this, but at the same time, it is really well done, and I was so impressed by it. I think some people might read things in it that don't actually. It is a criticism of toxic masculinity, but some might have read it as being the opposite of that. And I think if you've read it to be the opposite of that, the problem is with you, not with the movie. Because the movie really lays it out, frankly, and he is the villain of the piece, you know, and it does show that she is the innocent in this, despite her behavior. I just thought this was so well done. It's a little bit baggy in the middle, you know. It could have lost a little bit of time with that sort of, because it feels like there's about 10 to 15 minutes in it that did not need to be there, and but at the same time, if that's the only criticism, I think this is really good. Again, another fabulous horror movie. And I know not every horror movie has to have some kind of like really profound sort of sociological like idea and themes and blah blah blah. But at the same time, when they do, I feel like I'm fulfilled, you know, because I am someone who really I am a bit pretentious. I mean, I do like a pretentious like side of movies, but I'm also a huge fan of genre movies, and horror is a genre that I've always loved, and when you get clever horror, it's even better. Yeah, so I really like this. Really well done.
Fantastic. I mean, as we've discussed many times, horror's not my genre, but I have to say I was intrigued by reading a piece about it, and it's saying that Curry Barker was inspired by an episode of The Simpsons where Homer buys a monkey's paw, and that just sort of nailed it for me. That it is one of those ancient sort of tales of, as you say, sort of don't necessarily, what you think you want isn't what you want, and that your wishes will trap you. And
it's like big, you know, big.
Yeah.
You know, like I really love those kind of movies that ask these kind of like questions. Be careful what you wish for, you know.
Exactly. Yes, it's like I mean, it's classic, isn't it? It's Edgar Allan Poe. It's Tales of the Unexpected. It's what's that film? Is it a Coen? It's a Simple Man, isn't it? That has that folk tale at the beginning, and I mean, I have to say, I might actually wander out and catch this one. It does sound really interesting.
It is very bloody and violent, and it's not scary in the traditional horror way. It's scary in you don't know what's going to happen. It's like, you know, I just thought it was really well done. I really liked it.
Fabulous. Well, that sounds like a very positive recommendation for anyone heading to the box office this weekend. Thank you very much, Linda. That was great.
Meet me in the foyer.
Right. So now it is classic movie time. And funnily enough, Linda has actually referred to this film already in this episode. So, yes, it's time for another of Jawa's classic movie moments. And this week we're looking at a film celebrating its 30th anniversary. I think this might be my third Coen Brothers review. I'll have to get my list in order. I can't quite remember. A piece of yes, indeed.
Sorry.
A piece of cinema that made independent film mainstream and won awards without being an issues film. This week we're traveling to Midwest America, to Minneapolis, to be precise, to Fargo.
I'm Jerry Lundegaard.
You got the car?
You bet. Brand new burnt umber Sierra.
You want your own wife kidnapped.
Her dad, he's real well off.
So why don't you just ask him for the money?
See, these are personal matters.
Personal matters?
Wait, it's Jerry. I don't know what to do. It's my wife.
We gotta talk. It's something, oh, geez. It's terrible.
So I got the state looking for a Sierra with a tag starting VLR.
I'm not sure that I agree with you 100% on your police work there, Lou. I think that vehicle there probably had dealer plates.
Jeez.
DLR?
No, they said no cops.
Here's the second one. So we got a trooper pull someone over.
Is the new car then, sir?
Oh, it certainly is, officer. Still got that smell.
There's a high-speed pursuit. We got a shooting. And then this execution type deal.
$1 million, a lot of damn money. They got my daughter.
Hiya, hon.
Brought you some lunch, Margie. What are those, night crawlers?
Oh, yeah, looks pretty good.
How's Jean?
Who's Jean?
My wife.
Well, the little guy, he was kind of funny looking.
You were having sex with a little fella then?
Yeah.
Mr. Lundegaard, you mind if I sit down? Carrying quite a load here.
Where's Jerry?
Got your damn money. Now where's my daughter?
Jeez.
Blood has been shed. We now want the entire 80,000.
I answered the darn... I'm cooperating here.
You have no call to get snippy with me. I'm just doing my job here.
What do you fellas got yourself mixed up in?
Police! So, is there anything else you can tell me about him?
He wasn't circumcised.
Oh, yeah?
Fargo is a 1996 black comedy crime film written, directed, produced and edited by Joel and Ethan Coen. It stars Frances McDormand, William H. Macy, Steve Buscemi, Harv Presnell and Peter Stormare. McDormand plays Police Chief Marge Gunderson, who investigates after a car salesman, Jerry Lundegaard, played by Macy, hires two dim-witted criminals to kidnap his wife to extort a ransom from her wealthy father. It was filmed in America in 95, premiered at Cannes in 96, where it competed for the Palme d'Or. Joel Coen won the festival's Prix de la Mise en Scène, Best Director. Thank you. The film was a critical and commercial success, earning particular acclaim for the Coens' direction and script, and the performances of McDormand, Macy, and Buscemi. Fargo received 7 Oscar nominations at the 69th Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Supporting Actor for Macy, winning 2, which were Best Actress for McDormand and Best Original Screenplay for the Coens. And it also won Best Director at the BAFTAs. So it's 1987. Jerome Jerry Lundegaard is the executive sales manager of a Minneapolis car dealership owned by his father-in-law, Wade Gustafson. Desperate for money, he plans to have his wife, Jean, kidnapped. On the recommendation of dealership mechanic and parolee Shep Proudfoot, Jerry meets... Gaya Grimsrud and Carl Showalter at a bar in Fargo, North Dakota. Gaya and Carl agree to kidnap Jean in exchange for a new Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra and half of the $80,000 ransom Jerry intends to extort from Wade. It stars Frances McDormand as Marge Gunderson, William H. Macy as Jerry Lundegaard, Steve Buscemi as Carl Showalter, Harv Presnell as Wade Gustafson, Peter Stormare as Greer Grimsrud, Kristen Rudrud as Jean Lundegaard, and Bruce Campbell makes an uncredited appearance as a soap opera actor on a TV screen. I think I saw this just after it had come out in the mid-90s, and I've referred to this quite a few times over the reviews, that this was a sort of a series of summers where I always feel like the 90s gets underrated as a decade for cinema. And you look back, we didn't have to look back, we lived through it. It was incredible. You know, you've got Tarantino, you've got the Coen brothers, you've got David Fincher, all of these incredible directors producing incredible films. And the Coens were absolutely key. And Fargo, one of the highest of high watermarks amongst these films. Absolutely enthralling from the first time I watched it. No idea where it was going. The plot largely went over my head, I have to say, first time. And then over the years, I sort of get a tighter grip on what's actually going on. And this time, actually, I think I really understood all the sort of intricacies that might have eluded me the first time. So in terms of casting, they had actually wanted to cast Macy in the film initially, but in a different role. But they were so impressed by his audition that they gave him the role of Jerry. And then they later said they didn't realize themselves what a tough acting challenge they were giving him, because Jerry is such an odd character. He's a sort of ingenious but deceitful yet slightly innocent. He's guileless, but he's also responsible for setting this whole sort of black comedy tragedy in motion. Yet he's also surprised when everything goes wrong, and he has no powers to stop it. Frances McDormand, who is of course married to Joel, I believe, she plays Marge, and the fascinating thing about her is I mean, she's amazing in this, but she won, as I say, the best. She won the Academy Award for her performance, for Best Actress. She doesn't appear in the film for 33 minutes, and by that point, when she appeared, I looked at the clock and thought, "Wow, 33 minutes have gone by, and it feels like an hour," but in a good way, because there's so much plot, there's so many brilliant performances. It feels like you've already seen more plot and more Academy Award-winning performances in that 33 minutes than you'd have seen in a film for like 10 years previously. And then she appears and just takes control of the film. For her role as the police detective, she learned to fire a gun. She spent days talking with a pregnant police officer to develop a backstory for her character. She learned the dialogue of the local area, and she modelled Marge on her sister, a chaplain at a women's maximum security prison. As I say, they conceived a backstory. They decided that her and her husband, Norm, who you only see at the house making her eggs before she goes to work and talking about getting his design for a stamp approved. They decided that they were both police people, but Norm had decided to quit because Marge was the better detective, and he would stay at home and be a sort of home husband for her. The score. It's a film that features the usual brilliant Coen team. So you have Carter Burwell providing one of his brilliant soundtrack scores, with the main theme based on a Norwegian folk song. Yeah, of course, you have Roger Deakins on cinematography duties, so it looks incredible. I love the way it starts, because it starts with this sort of thunderous, dramatic score and these big, huge vistas of the white tundra in middle America. And then it cuts immediately to this tiny little naff bar and Macy walking in his little raincoat, reminding me all the time of Ned Flanders from The Simpsons. And it's just that typical Coen Brothers juxtaposition between sort of huge epic and whimsical tweeness, and they're just brilliant. It opens famously. The film opens with the following text: "This is a true story. The events depicted in this film took place in Minnesota in 1987 at the request of the survivors. The names have been changed. Out of respect for the dead, the rest has been told exactly as it occurred." As I think everyone probably knows, it's not a true story. It's a typical Coen Brothers joke. People have said that it could be based on a true story because there are two similar stories. There's one story of a person called T. Eugene Thompson, an attorney who was convicted of hiring a man to murder his wife in 1963 near the Coens' hometown of St. Louis Park. But the Coens said they never heard of Thompson. And actually, after Thompson's death in 2015, Joel Coen then changed the story and said it was completely made up. And we only like to say things like this is a true story because that allows us to get away with anything in our films. And if you get the special edition DVD, if anyone still buys DVDs, there's also the tale of a 1986 murder of a Danish-American flight attendant from Connecticut at the hands of her husband, who was disposed of through a wood chipper. So it's possibly based on a true story, but I don't think so. I think it's just the Coens playing with us. Interestingly, though, in the film, Steve Buscemi comes into possession of a large quantity of money, and he then decides to bury the money in the snow in one of the most hilariously stupid moments you'll ever see on film. It's just, I just adore the moment where he's frantically digging this hole with a windscreen scraper, and he buries the money, and then he looks up and realizes it's just the same for miles, and there's no way he's ever going to know where this money is, and he decides to identify it by sticking the ice scraper in the ground. And you think, so this marker's about 4 inches tall, and you think, okay, yeah, you're never finding that money again. So interestingly, there was this myth of a woman called Takako Kanishi, who in 2001 traveled to Minnesota, and she was found dead in a field in the snow. And the police believed that she might have felt that the money in the film Fargo was real, and she could find it. So they don't know what the true story is, but there's actually been a documentary made about this story, directed by Paul Burke Saylor, and you can find that film. It's a fascinating watch. But anyway, back to Fargo. So yes, the film uses what's called the Minnesota Nice, which is the particular accent, which I think is what made me think it was set in Canada, because it's got that sort of
sing song.
Yeah, that's sort of like, hey, what's that about type thing.
It's kind of like European, because they're all like
Yes.
European settlements, like from actually Europe, not from England, and they brought that kind of accent with them. I think there is pretty much the same accent in Normal as well. So
okay.
Yeah, so I think it is a film that is trying to emulate Fargo, I have to say.
Yeah. It's an odd accent. It's sort of slightly Scandinavian.
Scandinavian,
and they say, yeah, you betcha, and stuff like that. But and of course McDormand just absolutely nails his accent, and Macy as well. The pair of them get that accent absolutely spot on. Unsurprisingly, the film has got a 95% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert said that Fargo was the best film of 1996, and Ebert later ranked it at number 4 on his list of the best films of the 90s. It's been added to all sorts of national film preservation lists. It was voted on the 30 most significant independent films of the last 30 years, and it was ranked as the 32nd greatest ever screenplay by New York Magazine, and also listed on the list of the best movies that lost at the Oscars for Best Picture. They made a 1997 pilot for a TV series, but that didn't come to anything. It was directed by Kathy Bates, with no involvement by the Coen brothers. And then in 2014, they made it into an actual TV series, Fargo, which is set in the same area, around the same time period, but no real connection with the film. And that's run for 5 seasons now, and is
really good.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I think the 5th might be the best of all the seasons. Really, really fantastic series. I recommend that to everyone. Really got that sort of strangeness that Fargo has. There are lots of references, strangely, in Fargo to Stanley Kubrick, which I didn't pick up, but research has highlighted that for me. Buscemi uses a line that he's in town for just a little of the old In and Out, which is a Clockwork Orange reference. He and his partner drive through Minneapolis to the song "These Boots Are Made for Walking," which is on the film Full Metal Jacket. And some of these shots, such as when they break into Macy's house to kidnap his wife, such as when they break down the bathroom door, sort of give you a feeling of The Shining. So lots of little Kubrick hints in there. So it feels like we're sort of we're investigating, sort of visiting a world we've never seen before. This sort of strange part of America that's never really shown. As I say, it's sort of this snow-covered world, and people speak in these slightly odd European-tinged accents, and they're all incredibly nice. What seems to shock them more than anything is people who can't maintain their civility to each other, and when someone breaks that and is rude, they inevitably turn out to be a villain in this film. I mean, the dialogue is incredible. What I love about it is that it tells the story with almost no exposition. You almost infer the plot through people's conversations, but they're not just telling you what's happening. You find that William H Macy, his father-in-law, is a bully just through his mannerism, and William H Macy is this sort of failing car salesman who's desperately trying to keep everything together. He's got multiple schemes all overlapping, trying to keep the wolf from the door. He's borrowing money from a bank. He's running this weird car scam. He's trying to get his father-in-law to invest in a car park that's probably a complete fiction. And then his ultimate scheme is this idea of having his wife kidnapped just to get the ransom out of his father-in-law. And even in that, he's doing a double deal on the kidnappers, because he tells them that they can have half of the ransom, which he says to them is 80,000, so they get 40, but it turns out the ransom is 1 million, which is why Buscemi ends up with this massive suitcase full of money. And it's just incredible. Yeah, the thing about it is the Coen brothers really perfect their rhythm and pacing here. It just rolls and rolls. And I remember watching it for the second time with a friend, and we put it on, and I said we'd both seen it before. It started, we didn't speak for the entire film, and it finished, and we both sort of looked at each other and went, wow, it's so mesmeric. It just draws you in, and the performances are incredible. Buscemi is just unbelievable in this film. He should have won an award for this, and so should Macy. Yeah, beautifully paced, beautiful rhythm to it. You really get the atmosphere from it. The timing of the camera movements, the shots that linger, lovely blank expanses of landscapes, and then cutting into really sort of tight internal indoor shots with this brilliant dialogue and acting. Every scene seems to end with a sort of surprise. You never see the end of a scene coming. I had a theory watching it this time, because I realized that in Macy's office, it's floor to ceiling golf trophies, and I wondered whether that's why he's a failing car salesman, because he spends all his time playing golf and not selling cars, and he's had to come up with all these insane schemes to keep it all together and keep his family together and to keep a roof over his house. As I say, the score by Burwell's incredible. It sort of crescendos and string sections that somehow seem to encapsulate the stillness of the setting, but also the way that people's lives are crashing together and causing these terrible results and consequences of their actions. I mean, stunning. The landscape is kind of like the people. The people are so, as I say, nice, but almost repressed, that the landscape seems to be the same. It's this frozen landscape, and the people are frozen as well. As I say, beautifully shot by Deakins. I'll go back to that word again. It's mesmeric. An absolutely stunning film. So, how far would you go for great cinema? Well, I suggest you go as far as Fargo and no farther. So yeah, if you haven't seen Fargo, check it out. It's one of the Coen's best, and if it's one of the Coen's best, it's one of cinema's best. So, yeah.
What I really love about the Coen brothers, and I fear that it's mostly one of them who's the brains behind the whole thing. What I love about their films is that they take you into these kind of really weird communities and like I try to sort of infiltrate them, and that's what I really love. That I like they love the weirdness of people. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I admire about them, That's what I admire about like finding stories where the majority of people wouldn't find a story,
It's bizarre, isn't it? It's so hard to describe why they're brilliant, but they just are. And I remember my brother watching it after I recommended it, and him coming back to me and saying, "No, I don't get it. I don't like it." And I thought, well, that's not a problem with the film. That's a problem with you. But no, brilliant film. Absolutely brilliant.
Meet me in the foyer.
Right, I think we've got time for one more review from Linda. So Linda's going to paint you a picture with words as she brings you a review of this year's Steven Soderbergh movie. Does Soderbergh use his full palette of skills to bring this piece to life, or is the vivid image shaded by 50 shades of Gandalf the Grey? Well, let's see what's in the gallery this week as Linda easels into another review of a film that stars Ian McKellen, Michaela Coel, Jessica Gunning, but James Corden.
It's been a while since I interviewed an assistant. So, tell me about yourself. For now, I'll take I am a woman and I don't hate you, Julian.
Everybody knows what one original Julian Sklar is worth.
Studio. This way.
You said this was a restoration job. It's a forgery job.
No. What we're trying to get you to do is merely complete them.
By forging them?
By forging through them.
This isn't about the unfinished Christophers, is it? They shall be burned at the crack of noon.
I am not going back there.
We'll give you £10,000.
The answer is no.
Oh, come on, mate.
20 grand.
Other door.
I don't think you want to do this.
Have you ever been betrayed?
I had a partner who left me for my other partner.
I was once in a throuple, back when it was merely called infidelity. I've been telling myself lies my whole life.
That's where the art of it comes in.
Take that!
You win, you win!
The art of what?
Becoming someone else.
It's almost worth staying alive for. Whose is this?
It's mine, sir.
It's absolute shit.
Linda?
I'm not going to be too long on this one, just because we don't want to sort of overstay our welcome. But this is, again, as you say, a Steven Soderbergh movie. Steven Soderbergh, he seems to be making a movie every year, like sometimes even 2 movies a year.
Yeah.
And I am all for it. I really love that he is one of the people who's trying to do different things with each movie. Like, I love his kind of genre hopping. I don't think many filmmakers do that nowadays, and actually Ben Wheatley is one of them. Even if most of his movies do to afterwards descend into kind of like violence, but I think Steven Soderbergh is trying to do what Steven Soderbergh is trying to do with his filmmaking expertise is that he is trying to push things forward and changing the way people interact with film, and each one of his films does something different, and I really love that. As you said, this stars Sir Ian McKellen. It's written by Ed Solomon, who, incredible screenwriter. Ian McKellen, Michaela Coel, who's, if anyone remembers, for I May Destroy You, brilliant series, BBC series from 2020. Yes. She was in Chewing Gum. She was also in Mother Mary not that long ago. Really good in Mother Mary. So she's actually now really like sort of an actress that's really getting a lot of work, you know, hefty roles, which is a good thing. I always like to see that, and she is brilliant and deserves all the success she gets. So, as you said, Ian McKellen plays Julian Sklar. Think Lucian Freud, if you know that kind of sort of aging, eccentric, really well respected, also a controversial portrait painter, really well known, someone who's really well regarded, but who is also maligned by many people because he's not a very kind person. He's basically his star has dwindled, and what he's finding himself doing is recording cameos. You know, like cameo where you get paid $150 or £150 or whatever to record happy birthdays to people and get paid for them. And you know, that's how far down his reputation has gone down. He's Michaela Coel plays Laurie Butler. She's like she's a really, really talented artist who's been secretly hired by Julian's children, grown-up children, as you say, played by James Corden and oh my God, what's her name?
Jessica Gunning.
Jessica Gunning, yeah, Jessica Gunning and James Corden, who actually is not bad, really. You know, James Corden gets when he's bad, but when he's good, he's actually good. And he plays a fairly detestable human being in this, so it works. You know,
Not a reach for him.
Yeah, so she's hired by his grown-up children to basically falsify these a series of paintings called the Christophers that he'd started many moons ago, decades ago, and he never finished them. And Christopher was actually one of his models who he became involved with, and he became his lover, and they were, you know, lived together, and you know, and then one day Christopher got up and left, and Julian never saw him again. So yes, that's basically what we're dealing with here. I just thought this was so well done, and I think like Ian McKellen is just incredible, and I think if you know, and they don't say openly that character is based on Lucian Freud, but he really does look like Lucian Freud in his later days, you know, and is living in this kind of like a ramshackle, this beautiful house that, you know, two houses really in one of the most expensive areas in London, and you know, it's all sort of covered in crap and, you know, loads of unfinished work, and I just thought this was so well done, and the dialogue's really good. It's almost like a two-hander between him and Michaela Coel, but it's not really. I think it would have worked even better if it was just a two-hander. That'd be A, cheaper, and two, we wouldn't have had to ask what's his face to be in it,
James Corden.
James Corden to be in it. But then, you know, I just thought it was really well done. I thought the relationship between Cole's character and McKellen's character is just really pure. It's, you know, they clash, but they also understand each other. They get so much out of each other. She is changed by having met him. He's changed by having met him. They don't start. It's like the opposite of a meet cute. They don't start on great. You know, their meet up when they first meet, they don't really get on. They hate each other. She really hates him because when she was younger, he had been a judge on this TV art thing where he basically poo-pooed her work, and she's a very talented artist. He basically ruined her career by belittling her work, and she's been holding a grudge since then. But their meeting and their consequent sort of relationship, it starts as kind of like two people just winding each other up, but you feel like there is a friendship building. And by the end of it, you know, they're both changed by that kind of experience. And I thought it was really well done. It's really well directed. Screenplay is fantastic. And it's really well acted. And to go and see it, you know, like anything with Ian McKellen, it's never going to be bad, is it? So yeah, really well done. Soderbergh has done it again, and I just think he's got, like, it's really hard when you get an American director directing some British actors in the story that is purely British. It's very hard for them to do usually, like Woody Allen, for example, and has never succeeded in doing that. I think Soderbergh has spent enough time here, and I feel like he really got it and has managed. You barely see any Americanisms in it, and it works, and it's good. Go see it. That's it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You're so right, because of course Black Bag, his last film, was great, and that was another England-based film. And no, I've been looking forward to this one for quite a while. I saw a trailer for it ages ago, and it just something about it just seems really, really intriguing, and a sort of
really well done. Really well done. Simple. It doesn't have airs or graces. Really, it's a simple story, but with very complex characters.
And McKellen, I mean, he's probably never stops working, but he's really doing some interesting stuff lately. The last few years, not always brilliant, but The Critic was an interesting one.
I loved him in that. I did not love the film, but I loved him in that.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't a great film, but it was his performance and just the film itself. And what else did he do? What was that con one called? The Good Liar. That was it.
Good Liar. That's it. Yeah.
That was fun.
That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, just doing some great work. No, this seems even with James Corden, I think I will be watching this one. So yeah, no, fabulous. Well, I mean, that's 3 great choices. Well, 2.5 great choices if you're heading to the box office this week. But why not try them all? And Fargo's, as I say, celebrating its anniversary, to try that one as well. So a thoroughly packed show this week, I think, but that's the end of this escapade. The ransom has been paid and you're free to leave. But if you feel a bond has been formed and it's not just Stockholm Syndrome, give into it and subscribe to our Patreon. Listen again to this episode, catch up on all our previous shows in full extended director's cut form, and enjoy our specials too. So it just leaves me with the task of cutting the bindings and releasing Linda to enjoy her freedom for another week. Thank you for your excellent reviews, Linda.
And just a reminder, you can watch this podcast, but you can also just listen to it if you just want to listen on your way to work or to fall asleep at night, whatever you want to do. You don't have, we would prefer you if you watched it on YouTube, obviously, but I think loads of people really like. So now you can actually listen to it on Apple Podcasts as well, which is great. And leave us a 5-star review if you can. That would be really nice. So and I understand that not everyone wants to has the time to be watching everything, but I think everyone's got time to be listening to a podcast on the way to work or to fall asleep at night, as I say.
100%. Yes, you can find us on Acast, on iTunes, on Spotify. Everywhere you look, we'll be there, and you can listen to us whenever you like, at your leisure. And then once you've got a taste, go to the Patreon and hear the full episode with all the bits that we couldn't fit into the 60-minute show. So yes, I hope we'll see you back again next week. That you too, Linda, and we'll be back in the foyer for another show. So until then, take care, make good choices at the box office, don't pay attention to alternative opinions, and we'll see you again in 7 days.
Subscribe now to help fans supporting food banks. Go to patreon.com/Rock and Goal Radio and look for your favourite club subscription pages and sign up with your favourite presenter. Rock and Goal Radio. No adverts, no VAR, no limits.
Meet me in the foyer.
Hello.
Hey.
Sorry about that.
You're right.
Right, yes, good to be back. Right, so where are we going? So it's Christopher's or Obsession next.
Which shall I do?
Obsession?
Let's do Obsession. Okay.
Everything's still rolling. Lovely.